let's make a web page. Anybody made a web page before? Anybody never made a web page before? Okay, well, new experience coming to you. Create document, empty file, let's call it mypage.html. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So I made a file. I'm going to open it with my text editor. And it's going to open in this window. So here's a new file. Hypertext Markup Language is the language that somebody invented because they were trying to get pictures on the internet. Remember that whole lecture last time about how bulletin board systems used to do ASCII art stuff? Okay, here's what the language looks like. You start by saying HTML and then body, and then slash body, and then slash HTML. No, it's not pronounced HTML. That's my joke because I think it's funny. Okay, there you go. And then you put stuff in here like, hi, this is my first web page. How do you like it? And if we were in the 1990s, when the internet was first coming out and was awesome, we would center everything. And then right here we would put an animated GIF. Image source equals animgif.gif. And then we'd save it, and then I'll open my page in my browser. And it says, hi, here's my web page. How do you like it? And there's a broken link to my image there because I don't actually have an animated GIF. Of course, we need one. Let's go to Google. Click on images and type in animated GIF. Come on, none of them are moving. I have to click on it now? Okay. Where's a funny one? That one looks funny. Give me an animated GIF. It's very dangerous going out on the live web while in class. Save image as desktop. Holy cow, it's called animatedgif.gif. That's what I called it in my web page. Okay, what, it's still downloading? How big is this GIF? We're supposed to have to be at a university here with fat pipes. Okay, oh, I just called it animgif.gif. Well, it's now called animatedgif.gif. I save it, I open my page. Okay, yay, I made a web page. Gotta admit, that's a pretty cool first web page, isn't it? Okay, there you go. Now you know HTML. You don't know everything there is to know about HTML. I'm okay with that. Nobody knows everything there is to know about HTML. But you should know a few things. Every tag has a corresponding closing tag. Everything between it is associated with that tag. Does that make sense? And when I said every tag, I lied. This one doesn't have one. Then somebody came along and said, well, they should. So now you can actually put a slash there to indicate this one is the start and end of the tag. You'll see that sometimes, but you don't have to because backward compatibility. So basically, they made a great big mess of the web. And there's all kinds of features. Half of them you're not supposed to use because they're deprecated, which means now you're not supposed to use it anymore. And stuff. Okay. You should know that BR means a basic return. That puts you down to the next line. Let's put a few new lines in there. So now if I look at my page, see how there's a bunch of returns there? One thing that really bothers people is even if you put a bunch of enters like this, it doesn't actually affect the web page. Because see how I didn't put a BR in there? I just put a bunch of enters. Well, HTML is a white space tolerant language. You actually have to say BR to go down to the next line. It's like the /n when you're doing a print statement. Okay. Center obviously centers stuff. H1 makes it big. That stands for heading. Chapter 1. Chapter 2. So now, see, I made big text and small text. And IMG obviously does an image, and source equals, and then whatever you put in quotes is the source for that image. And there you go, now you know HTML. How do you learn HTML? Well, you go on the web, you find a cool web page that you're interested in, like cse.uark.edu. What a cool page. I want my page to look just like this. And then you press Control-U to view the source, or like some whatever hotkey is on a Mac. It's something different, of course, because heaven forbid we be consistent. They must fight against each other. And this is the source for that page. And if you read through it, you'll see, ew, yuck, HTML, but you can find what you're interested in. And there you go. Now you know HTML. Because the web is open, because you can see everybody's source code for all their web pages, everybody can learn HTML very quickly, and we can steal each other's stuff. And because of that, the web has grown at an alarmingly fast rate. And it kind of took over the world and is changing the way we think about information. The whole idea of openness and open source is really making a big impact in computer science, and HTML is one of the pioneers of that whole concept. So, sort of. Anyway, yes? What's that?
Can you not hide anything on your website?
Oh, there's tons of ways, and people have used all kinds of ways to do it. But the original idea was you shouldn't be able to hide anything. And
you could hack it then? Because you could like, oh, that's literally what they just wrote. How would I screw with that?
well, yes, that is the whole idea behind it. And in fact, one of the things that's interesting is because of that, for the first decade of the web being out, it was hacked to pieces. And interestingly, the argument is, and because of that, it's now secure. Does that make sense? So the more insecure it is, the more secure it is, in a roundabout kind of weird way. It's the many eyeballs principle. The more able you are to penetrate it, the more certain we are we're going to find all the bugs and close them up. So these days it's believed that most of the things that are on the web, HTML, JavaScript, your web server and stuff like that, they're pretty much unhackable because they've all been hacked to pieces and we fixed all the bugs. Is that really true? Meh, sort of. But the counter argument is, well, see, at that time, Microsoft was very dominant, and their philosophy was keep everything hidden so the hackers don't get it. And the Linux philosophy was let's make everything open so the hackers will find all our bugs for us. Well, is Windows a secure operating system?
No.
For a long time, it was definitely not. And the reason it definitely was not is because they had this attitude of let's keep it closed, and so they didn't think they had to fix their bugs because nobody would find their bugs because it was closed. And well, that's called security by obscurity, which is a very bad term on the web these days. It's a very much maligned term. If you subscribe to security by obscurity, you're suggesting that by just hiding your stuff, you can make it secure. While, yes, it does make it more secure, it also makes it harder for you to make your system more secure. So Linux hardened very quickly and became the language of the web. Now Linux owns the web. Basically, every web server on the planet, with the exception of the 3 that are run by Microsoft to prove that they are still relevant, are run on Linux servers. That's a slight exaggeration. There's actually 5 or 6 Windows servers out there. Linux is pretty much used universally by programmers and web administrators because it's hardened and it has this great philosophy. Microsoft, of course, realized, hey, our lunch is getting eaten, and so they paid a huge amount of money, which is okay because they had billions that they were sitting on because they made a lot of money from their monopoly, their former monopoly. And so they devoted a huge amount of resources to hardening and securifying their operating system. These days, a lot of people believe Windows is very secure, but it's still also very closed. And so, is it really secure? Well, we don't know. Is Linux really secure? Well, it's open source. Look at it yourself and decide. And if it's not, wouldn't it have been hacked by now? And on the other hand, well, it has been hacked by now, many times. And so, the debate goes back and forth, and will go back and forth forever. Which is more secure, open or closed? I don't know, but yes, sorry, that was way more answer than you wanted, but the point is HTML is open and presumably that makes it safe. Okay. You are now expected in this class to know HTML. And that might mean you're going to you're going to have to do stuff in HTML that I haven't taught. I'm cool with that. Get on the web, figure it out. It's not that hard. Never put I am an HTML programmer on your resume. It's embarrassing because you see how long it took me to teach you that? Yeah. Okay, so HTML is also an evolving language because obviously what we invented in 1993 doesn't cut it for now. So HTML has been hacked on and improved over the years, and because of that, it's a great big mess. One of the things they realized is that there's no separation between, well, they need a separation between the content people who know what needs to be on the web and the artists who know how to present things and make it pretty. And CSS was invented for that purpose. The idea is in HTML you can have headers. And then, in fact, let's just go for a CSS example. There's a whole new language called CSS. Stands for Cascading Style Sheets. I don't want a whole tutorial. I just want a dumb example. Just give me one. Oh, I guess those were all examples, weren't they? Okay. Inside HTML, there's this tag called style. And inside the style tag, you write in a new language called CSS. And in CSS, you can specify things like color. There's another way to specify background color in HTML. It's deprecated and you're not supposed to use it because CSS is the new hotness and HTML is the old lameness. So now if you want to make a web page, you have to learn CSS, which is the language I've highlighted here, and HTML, which is the language that wraps it all. And the CSS part is responsible for the look and feel, and the HTML is responsible for the content. Yes?
Is making separate HTML and CSS files still like a big thing?
Yeah. This one, they crammed it all in one file so that it would be a quick and easy example. Usually they'll separate them. Which is better? It's kind of like, should you put your Java classes in different files or the same file? Well, different files is probably more organized, but then again, if it's just a quick example, you're kind of just spinning wheels with effort. So I do a lot of little examples being a professor, therefore I like to cram everything into one file. That's probably a bad practice.